This is a visualization of the AI startup. So any startup company, that how much money they got, and along the year, and then regarding to the only for the AI. So the United States is one of the leading the country. It is true, and we have the United Kingdom, France, and this is I think the Israel and Taiwan, China, and it's still early stage. So as I mentioned in the previous class in the operating system, the computing environment and IT strategy are quickly changing. So really quickly changing. Even for me, very hard to catch up. Even to prepare the class, every semester, for example, data mining and big data course and the NoSQL database, half of the contents are changed. It's new one. And if I use some material nowadays, the next semester is old and too old to use. So it's a good news and also bad news. So bad news is very hard, too tough to catch up and learn everything. But the good news is more opportunity for you. Not only just get a job in a company, so you can start with the new ideas. I believe it will be next decade, 10 years is kind of a transition. Transition is usually not stable. Not stable condition is not a bad situation. It can be your opportunity. Okay, so think about 100 years ago when we start the new industrial revolution, like the mass manufacturing. So starting company was the Ford. What Ford this is the conveyor belt. Then the mass production. It's just a simple idea nowadays, but it changes huge. It will be your opportunity after graduation to start the new company or the new job. So why don't you think about consider such an AI industry for your future? That AI is based on the data. So one of the basic data structure is what we are discussing in this semester, relational database model. Okay? So I believe on Monday I have an urgent event to go to the immigration. Hopefully that will be the last visit for my life. So I went to the Social Security Office and Immigration Office and so on. So because of that, I missed the class. But I believe the Murari and Shule, they covered the database programming. Keep in mind, in this semester for your project, so you need to use the GCP. First, the MySQL instance should be on the GCP. So if you run out of your balance, please come by my office during the office hour, then I will give the extra coupon. But try to save. If you just turn on and multi-processor and the huge size of memory, which we don't need for practice, then it will be quickly dry up. Okay? The minimal the setup of your MySQL instance costs the 15 to 20 bucks a month, which means $50 is not enough if you turn on 24 hours. Please try to save your balance. In case you do not have enough balance, so come by my office. I will give the extra coupon. Then for your MySQL instance, it should be running. For your practice, you can use a local instance or the local installation or the hosting service is fine, but for your grading and the submission, you need to create the MySQL instance on the GCP. Also, I mentioned many times, so it's good practice for your experience. Please try to get familiar with the cloud environment. Either way is fine, AWS or the Google Cloud. I do not have any preference, but the reason why I'm using the GCP is first, using coupon, it doesn't require the credit card. So I realized the last time when I used AWS, half of students really scared or afraid to put the credit card information. Okay, so even though they provide the coupon, it's free, the box for the AWS, but you need to. But this one may not. So, but if you are using the 300 free trial, the coupon for each the Gmail account. You need to, I think, to put the card information, but it will not be charged until you. So please try to get it. But what I want from this project is the experience. Okay. If you do not use, you never get used. So please try to use a lot, but please try to save the money also. Okay. But if you are using the 300, if you like that, try. It provides a bunch of different services. So you don't have to purchase a very nice and high-end laptop. Instead, you can just create the 10 GPU, the machine learning, the TensorFlow, the system. You can use the full year practice for a moment and stop, and so you can do many other things. So please try to get used. So in your project, the MySQL should be running on the GCP. And then second thing is your application server, which means if you are using web server, and then the two things. One option is you need to connect the MySQL, the instance on GCP from your local computer, which means your application is running on your laptop. If you have any application server, web server, like the IIS or the Apache server, should be running. Okay, that is the first option. Second option is as you practice in the last exercise on Monday, the cloud-based. So you need to create the computer engine, or you can use the app engine, and then using the MySQL or any provide program, supported program by the cloud, then you can connect to your It's not complicated. The problem is you never did. If you start the GAN user, it's just much easier than your local system. Okay. So there it looks like the limitation, but since you do not have experience on the cloud, so it looks like very difficult. But once you get used, even the easier and the simpler. You don't have to worry about a bunch of different settings. Security you don't have to. It's automatically set. So two options, both of them should be implemented. It can be the same application if you can deploy to the app engine or the cloud. If not, you need to implement two different applications. For example, I use the IIS web application server, then the Connect. But the IIS is not supported by the Google Cloud. But you need to implement some other application to connect. So please think about it. It's for your practice really. Otherwise, if you don't do, so you never get chance to use. But once you get used, there are a lot of things you can do. So that is the thing you need to do. But their database should be the same. It's running on the MySQL on the Google Cloud. Okay. Then today, I believe the GA covered most of the thing in your exercise lab. So I'm going to quickly summarize the advanced SQL and some other SQL functionality that you need to know very quickly. Then the database programming part. Most of that part need practice, exercise lab. So I'm not going to explain the details of syntax. You already know or you can run. Please type the sample code in the exercise lab book. It has a bunch of examples. Okay, so you can learn from your trial and error. Okay, please type. Do not copy and paste. So if you copy and paste, you may not realize which one is which. So please type. Then it takes maybe 1 or 2 hours enough. Okay, so please type. And if you got the error, then try to solve the error. If you cannot solve the error, most of the error you encounter is already known error. Okay, like you cannot use this one, you can use this, and so on. You can find such error from the MySQL website, or if that is related to Google, the GCP, the troubleshooting, or you can find most of the error from stackflow.com or the Google, the search engine. So please try. That is your experience. Please learn from such exercise lab. So today I'm going to quickly introduce the SQL that you learned in your exercise lab. The first, the interesting is the null. Do you remember one of the interesting data type is a Boolean in the SQL? Boolean usually true and false in any program language. However, relational database model, one more value, that is the null. So we have true, false, and null. So null is unknown value. We cannot count, we cannot calculate the value. That means we cannot use the equal to compare the null. NULL means it doesn't exist. So you cannot use this one. Instead, we can use the is null or is not null. So that is a different thing from the other program languages. Okay, so we can use is null, is not null, like the super SSN is null or is not null. Don't forget the SQL statement should end with a semicolon, and also it can be one line, it can be a new line. So by the way, so when you practice the SQL with the MySQL, what is the how do you practice the SQL in your exercise lab? Using what? Using MySQL program prompt. Do you remember the MySQL and prompt? So what is a MySQL, by the way? It's a database? No, it's not database engine. It's a query. Query? It's not query, it's a full query. It's an application program. Somebody developed. So as I said, the SQL is the only way to connect the database that you create. Or the SQL is the only way to create the database. Then how? Somebody implement the prompt style, like the shell style, the application program, to connect the database. Because of this reason, whenever you connect the MySQL, you should give database information, what kind of the host name, okay? Then username and password you need to provide. Using that, you can connect from application the MySQL. So this is the database, the MySQL database that you are using the Google GCP. And in your PC, so you are using MySQL, the application program, and connect this database, then the type of this kind of query. What about Oracle? Oracle has, this is for MySQL database. Oracle has SQL Plus. So you heard about that. I have experience to use the SQL Plus. That means using SQL Plus, you can connect the Oracle database and do the same thing. What about the DB2? DB2 has DB2 application. You can do the same thing. What about the Informix? Informix has same thing, DB access application. This one is slightly different. DB access is not the command line interface. It's more like menu driven. You can select the table, you can type, you can select. It's kind of menu driven. And the SQL Server, is it SQL? I usually do not use the MySQL at the SQL Server. It has the application program. I forgot the name of that. So these are the application program to access. But unfortunately, from the Oracle SQL Server, you cannot connect it. Okay? This is storage. It's dedicated. It's not standardized. It's for each database, the management system. Okay. However, there are modules. You can access the MySQL database through the something from Oracle. This is called the federate database. You can access heterogeneous, different database using this kind of the module. This is called the federate database. Rarely used, but in case you need to access the database from another relational database management system, you can use such a thing. So that is called the federate database. This is the null or non-null. Okay. Some of the query is the nested means query inside the query. Surprise me. Sometimes after you graduate, then you will be the kind of the application developer or the software engineer, sometimes you need to make the query, or sometimes you can see the query used in the current system. Then, surprisingly, one query is like the 2 pages, 3 pages long. It's really long. It's just one query, but it's long. The reason is that SQL allows query inside the query, which means inside the query. So it's called a nested query. So nested query is like that. So select from where. So we have the one, but the where condition has the to select from where. Select from where, or it's just the set the operation or and another. So this is a P number in, P number in. In is the I introduced is a set operation, one of these return values. So inside the database, this inner query will be processed first. And this one will be processed first. Then access the project and check the P number whether it exists here or exists here. At that time, this one is called one select from where. One pack of the select from where is called SQL block. 1 block, 2 block, 3 block. Later, the SQL query optimizer. You remember the query optimizer? Is to find the fastest route. That query optimizer process block by block. It cannot process all together. It's a query block by block. Okay. Be careful when you are using the distinct automatically sort the data. So if you have the large amount of data, it will take much longer time than you expect. So I do not recommend the distinct is automatically used. Please do not use. The reason is that SQL Server, nowadays it's changing. SQL Server, when the SQL Server was really old version, they automatically add a distinct. So used a lot. So people believe distinct is kind of the required. No, it's automatically sort the data. It will be slower. So not to use. So this is another the set operation. And the in the nested query, you can use any other operator like this one. Salary, all of this salary at the return of department number 5, the salary, and is there any employee whose salary is bigger than the all of the department number 5. So at the time you can use such a nested query. This is in we already used. But this nested query is, what about this F name? This F name is from alias E, the employee outer query. This is called a correlated query, which means the difference is this cannot be processed first. Because it's correlated, for each employee, run this and check. For each next employee, run this, check. So it's a correlated query. So we will see detail how we can process such a query block in query optimizer. Okay? But intuitively you can understand such a correlated query. Inner query cannot be done at once. Oh, by the way, what happens if we run this one? Inner query will be processed first here. Where does the DBMS store the output of this one? It's in the memory. Okay? Memory is a temporary store the output of inner query. Then it will be fast to check this operation. From this, the idea, Oracle actually provides the well-known query part is the inline view. Later we will see what is a view, but it's not real table, it's a virtual table. But the Oracle actually provide the inline view from inside the query. It's similar as a nested query, but firstly you can create the temporary view in the memory. And it looks like you can consider such the inline view, temporary view as a table. Then you can join, you can access. It's a very convenient way. So nowadays inline view is standardized. It's the standardized, so it's used most of the query. I don't think we have such an example, but keep in mind the inline view is possible. Then, such a nested query. The idea of this one is to retrieve the name of employee who has a dependent with the same first name and the same sex as the employee. It makes sense in United States because we are using like the junior, senior, and third, like the Trump Junior, so Trump Senior. So it can be the same first name, the parent and child. So we try to find that. So for each employee, so we check the first name and it's the dependent, the name. If it's same sex and the same first name, return it. Is that the only way? No. So we can use just a join for the same query. Right? The employee SE, dependent SD, and the same, the sex same, the first name it will be the same, the region. Okay. So this is the correlated query as well as the join. The exist is a set operation, whether there exists or not. So exist function, you should be careful. Exist is to check the order, for example, of this. You should have for each employee and whether this employee is inside. Nowadays, the exist used a lot because exist can be used for. Not exist means is the complement. Exist and not exist is a complement. Using this idea, sometimes you can do the very complicated query simple in the data warehousing system, kind of batch job. So you may have a chance to use the exist operation a lot in batch job. But online transaction usually is not used. Online transaction means fast response time. So first you need to access this as consider as a set, then the check. So it will take a longer time. So this operation used a lot in batch job or the data warehousing system. Not exist is a complement of the exist. Okay. So if you can understand the meaning of this, pretty much enough, and at least the intermediate level of the SQL. The employee, I try to get the last name and first name of the employee. And that employee not exist, not here. Okay? What is this? You need to take a look at this is inner query. The works on. Works on is what?
Relation.
It's a table in between project and employee, which means this one definitely related to the project. Okay, what kind of assignment? It's kind of assignment. Employee assigned to the number of a project. Okay, then that we'd like to check the project number, which is controlled by department number 5. So we need the employee who works on the project controlled by department number 5, and you need to see the and over here, and not exist. Okay, not exist. This and is the condition of what? Where? So D number is equal to 5 and not exist. Select one icon. The where employee. The C is employee. The SSN. This is SSN and SSN. What is this? C project number. B project number. Where is the B? Works on the B project number. What does that mean? So we need to get the list of employee works on. Okay, that the employee, that the project is related to that project controlled by the department number 5. Okay, and that the project should not exist. Okay, what does that mean? This is not.
That means we have to compare between the two temporary results?
No, that's the how to process the semantic meaning of this query. At least you need to understand the semantic meaning of this query. That the department number 5 control the project. Okay? That project, we need to get that project, but not exist. That the employee should not work on that project. Okay? Right? So, even from this, you should be able to make this kind of query. But nowadays, many of the application developer, instead of making such a query, application program if then else. So, but most of the 99% you can solve by the SQL. Then it will be simpler and faster. Why? Because you can get if you get the project number separate and the employee separate, works on separate, you need to access and store in your application program, local or any web server, and connect, get, process, connect, and get. It will take much longer time. It is simple but takes longer time. But if you make the query like this one, it will be in charge. Who is in charge of that? DBMS is in charge of to return all the employee name that satisfied with. Works on the project for department now. 5 that project that they do not work on. Okay. So I need to find the department and the project controlled by the department number 5. Okay? There are several projects, but they do not work. So we try to find that available project. So this is a query. So at that time we can use such a set operation. Okay. Then finally join. There are 2 different types of, not different type, different ways of join. One is from close. You can specify employee join department on. This is a join condition. This is a traditional way. Nowadays we do not use a lot such a way. Instead, employee comma department. Then this join condition going to the where. This is the current. Why? Because it's simple. This one is easy to understand, but we need to type a lot. However, this order is also important. What is the difference employee join department or department join employee? In terms of output, there's no difference. However, it will be different. I mentioned several times, performance will be different. In this case, it's specified. First going to employee, then check the department with this condition. It's explicitly assign the order. However, who knows? Department, then join the employee may be faster. So at that time, instead of using this, the employee comma department and this condition go to here, and DBMS, query optimizer, will check which one is faster. So nowadays, the later approach is used a lot for the join. So this is a 3-table join. Employee join with what? This one. So first we need to join department. This is a 2-table join. So employee join with the department, but this from the department only projection. DNO, DName, DNO, MS, the MSSN, the MS date will be considered, used, then join. Okay. Left outer join means all the value left hand side will be returned. If not match, null will be the use. So employee, all employee. For the all employee, join is the employee. This is what? Supervising. This is a supervisor. So we try to return the all employee name and their supervisor. For example, CEO does not have supervisor. So including CEO, employee will be returned. However, no. The supervisor, it will be none. This is the same syntax nowadays. instead of the, because we can move this kind of thing to the here. So instead of left outer join, we can plus. So usually we use parenthesis. Depending on the DBMS, Oracle use the parenthesis for the left outer join to represent. Okay. So this is a 3-table join: the project, department, and the employee. So you don't forget the join condition together. For the aggregation, so this is okay. It's not the error. There's no group by, but you can use the sum, max, mean, and average. Automatically, employee will be considered as a one group. Okay. Among the employee, what is the maximum salary, summation of the salary, and so on. Okay. But usually we need to use the group by operation. One more thing, if you group by here, this group by factor should be included the select. Why? If you remove this one, you don't know which department count, which department average. So because of that, it is required. So it was error. If you forget the DNO here, it was error previous version. But nowadays, it's not the error. Sometimes the sum of the DBMS just return as requested. But you should figure it out by yourself which one is which. Okay. For example, group by P number and P name, if you use the 2 column as a grouping factor, you need to use the 2 column in the select. Okay. So I strongly suggest to use. Okay. If you use the number of attribute here, group by, automatically same thing for the select. This is the mostly confused part. So let's read the query. For each project, okay? So for each project. For each project means group by project, okay? On which more than 2 employees work. And retrieve the project number and so on. What does that mean? I'd like to retrieve the project who has at least 2 employees. How can you check whether the project has 2 employees or not? Can I put the count where condition? It doesn't make sense. As we discussed, the group by means first we need to group by. Before that, if there is any condition, we need to do this condition. Check the condition, everything is fine, then group by. Then after group by, we can count how many employees for each group. Then if that is bigger than 2, return. Otherwise, no. Because of that, such a group by condition is not part of where it should be separate heading. Okay, heading is only the condition after group by. Before return the group by. Okay. This is another example to use the heading. Okay. With is the example of the such the inline view. It's not real table, it's not real view, but it's only used temporary use inside the query. Like the select from the employee group by Diano heading. This one will be run and out.